All right, squad. So, unfortunately, I filmed 45 minutes of reading the book and then realized that my mic was not working, which is so sad. But I think there is something about not posting an audiobook, like a different person reading it, but doing it myself. Um, so, I am starting on page 95. I think a benefit of doing this twice, because there always has to be a benefit, is that I get to know the book even better. There is an intense scene at the end that I am very excited to get to, and we'll go from there. All right, team. Death of the Wombat, page 95. The Wombat is dead. No assembly, no vote. Principal made an announcement this morning. He said hornets better represent the Merryweather spirit than foreign marsupials. Plus, the Wombat mascot costume was going to suck money from the prom committee's budget. We are the Hornets, and that is final. The seniors support this decision totally. They wouldn't be able to hold up their heads if the prom had to be moved from the Holiday Inn ballroom to the gym. That would be so elementary school. Our cheerleaders are working on annoying chants that end in lots of buzzing. I think this is a mistake. I have visions of opposing teams making enormous fly swatters and giant cans of insecticide out of paper mache to humiliate us during halftime programs. I'm allergic to hornets. One sting and my skin bubbles up with hives and my throat closes up. I missed the bus because I couldn't believe how dark it was when my alarm clock went off. I need a clock that will turn on a 300-watt bulb when it's time to get up. Either that or a rooster. When I realize how late it is, I decide not to rush. Why bother? Mom comes downstairs and I'm reading the funnies and eating oatmeal. Mom, you missed the bus again. I nod. Mom, you expect me to drive you again? Another nod. Mom, you'll need boots. It's a long walk and it snowed again last night. I'm already late. This is unexpected, but not harsh. The walk isn't that bad. It's not like she made me hike 10 miles through a snowstorm uphill in both directions or anything. The streets are quiet and pretty. The snow covers yesterday's slush and settles on the rooftops like powdered sugar on a gingerbread town. By the time I get to Fayette's, the town bakery, I'm hungry again. Fayette's makes wicked good jelly donuts, and I have lunch money in my pocket. I decide to buy 2 donuts and call it brunch. I cross the parking lot, and it comes out the door. Andy Evans, with a raspberry dripping jelly donut in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. I stop on a frozen puddle. Maybe he won't notice me if I stand still. That's how rabbits survive. They freeze in the presence of predators. He sets the coffee on top of his car and fumbles in his pocket for the keys. Very, very adult, this coffee car keys cut school guy. He drops the keys and swears. He isn't going to notice me. I'm not here. He can't see me standing here in my purple marshmallow jacket. But of course, with my luck with this guy sucks. So he turns his head and sees me, and wolf smiles, showing, oh, Granny, what big teeth you have. He steps towards me, holding out the donut. Want a bite? He asks. Bunny Rabbit bolts, leaving fast tracks in the snow. Get away, get away, get away. Why didn't I run before like this when I was a one-piece talking girl? Running makes me feel like I am 11 years old and fast. I burn a strip up the sidewalk, melting snow and ice, 3 feet on either side. When I stop, a brand new thought explodes in my head. Why go to school? The first hour of blowing off school is great. No one to tell me what to do, what to read, what to say. It's like living in an MTV video. Not with the stupid costumes, but wearing that butt-strutting I do what I want attitude. I wander down Main Street. Beauty parlor, 7-Eleven, bank card store. The rotating bank sign says it is 22 degrees. I wander up the other side. Appliance store, hardware store, parking lot, grocery store. My insides are cold from breathing in frozen air. I can feel the hairs in my nose crackle. My strut slows to a foot-dragging slump. I even think about trudging uphill to school. At least it's heated. I bet kids in Arizona enjoy playing hooky more than kids trapped in central New York. No slush, no yellow snow. I'm saved by a Centro bus. It coughs and rumbles and spits out 2 old women in front of the grocery store. I climb on. Destination, the mall. You never think about the mall being closed. It's always supposed to be there, like milk in the refrigerator or God. But it is just opening when I get off the bus. Store managers juggle key rings and extra large coffees. Then the cage gates fly up in the air. Lights wink on, the fountains jump, music plays behind the giant ferns, and the mall is open. White-haired grandmas and grandpops power walk squeak squeak, going so fast they don't even look at the window displays. I hunt spring fashions. Nothing that fit last year fits now. How can I shop with Mom if I don't want to talk to her? She might love it, no arguing that way. But then I'd have to wear the clothes she picks out. conundrum, a 3-point vocab word. I sit by the central elevator where they set up Santa's workshop after Halloween. The air smells like french fries and floor cleaner. The sun through the skylight is summer hot, and I shed layers. Jackets, hat, mittens, sweater. I lose 7 pounds in half a minute. Feel like I could float up alongside the elevator. Tiny brown birds sing above me. No one knows how they got in, but they live in the mall and sing pretty. I lie on the bench and watch the birds weave through the warm air until the sun burns so bright I'm afraid it will make holes in my eyeballs. I should probably tell someone. Just tell someone. Get it over with. Let it out. Blurt it out. I want to be in 5th grade again. Now that is a deep, dark secret, almost as big as the other one. 5th grade was easy. Old enough to play outside with mom, too young to go off the block, the perfect leash length. A rent-a-cop strolls by. He studies the wax woman in the Sears window, then strolls back the other way. He doesn't even bother with a fake smile or an, "Are you lost?" I'm not in 5th grade. He starts back for a third pass, his finger on the radio. Will he turn me in? Time to find that bus stop. I spend the rest of the day waiting for it to be 2:48, so it's not all that different from school. I figure I learned a good lesson and set my alarm clock early for the next day. I wake up on time for 4 days in a row, get on the bus 4 days in a row, ride home after school. I want to scream. I think I'll need to take a day off every once in a while. Hairwoman has been buying new earrings. One pair hangs all the way down to her shoulders. Another has bells in them like the pair Heather gave me at Christmas. I guess I can't wear mine anymore. There should be a law. It's Nathaniel Hawthorne month in English. Poor Nathaniel. Does he know what they've done to him? We are reading the Scarlet Letter one sentence at a time, tearing it up and chewing on its bones. It's all about symbolism, says Hairwoman. Every word chosen by Nathaniel, every comma, every paragraph break, they were all done on purpose. To get a decent grade in our class, we have to figure out what he was really trying to say. Why couldn't he just say what he meant? Would they pin scarlet letters on his chest? B for blunt, S for straightforward? I can't whine too much. Some of it is fun. It's like a code breaking into his head and finding out the keys to his secrets. Like the whole guilt thing. Of course you know the minister feels guilty and Hester feels guilty, but Nathaniel wants us to know this is a big deal. If he kept repeating, she felt guilty, she felt guilty, she felt guilty, it would be a boring book and no one would buy it. So we planted symbols like the weather and the whole light and dark thing to show us how poor Hester feels. I wonder if Hester tried to say no. She's kind of quiet. We would get along. I could see us living in the woods, her wearing that A, me with an S maybe. S for silent, for stupid, for scared. S for silly, for shame. So the code-breaking part was fun for the first lesson, but a little of it goes a long way. Hairwoman is hammering it to death. Hairwoman, the description of the house with bits of glass embedded in the walls. What does it mean? Utter silence from the class. A fly left over from fall buzzes against the cold window. A locker slams in the hall. Hairwoman answers her own question. Think of what that would look like, a wall with glass embedded in it. It would reflect, sparkle, shine on sunny days maybe. Come on, people, I shouldn't have to do this by myself. Glass in the wall. We see that on top of prison walls nowadays. Hawthorne is showing us that the house is a prison, or a dangerous place maybe. It is hurtful. Now I asked you to find out some examples of the use of color. Who can list a few pages where color is described? The fly buzzes a farewell buzz and dies. Rachel Rochelle, my ex-best friend. Who cares what the color means? How do you know what he meant to say? I mean, did he leave another book called Symbolism in My Books? If he didn't, then you could just be making all of this up. Does anyone really think this guy sat down and stuck all kinds of hidden meanings into a story? It's just a story. Hairwoman, this is Hawthorne, one of the greatest American novelists. He didn't do anything by accident. He was a genius. Rachel Rochelle, I thought we were supposed to have opinions here. My opinion is that it's kind of hard to read, but the part about how Hester gets in trouble and the preacher guy almost gets away with it, well, that's a good story. But I think you are making all of this symbolism stuff up. I don't believe any of it. Hairwoman, do you tell your math teacher you don't believe that 3 times 4 equals 12? Well, Hawthorne's symbolism is just like multiplication. Once you figure it out, it's as clear as day. The bell rings. Hairwoman blocks the door to give out our assignment. A 500-word essay on symbolism, how to find hidden meanings in Hawthorne. The whole class yells at Rachel Rochelle in the hall. That's what you get for speaking up. Mr. Freeman has found a way around the authorities again. He painted the names of all of his students on one wall of the classroom and then made a column for each week left of school. Each week he evaluates our progress and makes a note on the wall. He calls it a necessary compromise. Next to my name he's painted a question mark. My tree is frozen. A kindergartner could carve a better tree. I've stopped counting the linoleum blocks that I've ruined. Mr. Freeman has reserved the rest of them for me. Good thing, too. I am dying to try a different subject, something easy like designing an entire city or copying the Mona Lisa. But he won't budge. He suggested I try a different medium, so I used purple finger paints. The paint cooled my hands but did nothing for my trees. On a shelf I find a book of landscapes filled with illustrations of every stinking tree that grows. Sycamore, linden, aspen, willow, fir, tulip, pollard, chestnut, elm, spruce, pine. Their bark, flowers, limbs, needles, nuts. I feel like a regular forester, but I can't do what I'm supposed to. The last time Mr. Freeman had anything good to say to me was when I made that stupid turkey bone thing. Mr. Freeman is having his own problems. He mostly sits on his stool and stares at a new canvas. It is painted one color, so blue it's almost black. No light comes out of it or goes in. No shadows without light. Ivy asks him what it is. Mr. Freeman snaps out of his funk and looks at her like he just realized the room was full of students. Mr. Freeman, it is Venice at night, the color of an accountant's soul, a love rejected. I grew mold on an orange this color when I lived in Boston. It is the blood of imbeciles, confusion, tenure, the inside of a lock, the taste of iron, despair. A city with the street lights shot out, smoker's lawn, the hair of a small girl who grows up hopeless, the heart of a school board director. He is warming up for a full-fledged rant when the bell rings. Some teachers rumor whisper he's having a breakdown. I think he's the sanest person I know. Nothing good ever happens at lunch. The cafeteria is a giant sound stage where they film daily segments of teenage humiliation rituals, and it smells gross. I sit with Heather, as usual, but we are off by ourselves in a corner by the courtyard, not near the Marthas. Heather sits so her back is to the rest of the cafeteria. She can watch the wind shift the drifts of snow trapped in the courtyard behind me. I can feel the wind seep through the glass and penetrate my shirt. I am not listening too closely as Heather ahems her way to what is on her mind. The noise of 400 mouths moving, consuming, pulls me away from her. The background pulsing of the dishwashers, the squeal of announcement that no one hears. It is a vespiary, the Hornet Haven. I am a small ant crouched by the entrance with the winter wind at my back. I smother my green beans with mashed potatoes. Heather nimbles through her jacama and whole grain roll and blows me off while she eats her baby carrots. Heather, this is really awkward. I mean, how do you say something like this? No matter what. No, I don't want to say that. I mean, we kind of paired up at the beginning of the year when I was new and didn't know anyone, and that was really, really sweet of you. But I think it's time for us both to admit that we just are very different. She studies her no-fat yogurt. I try to think of something bitchy, something wicked and cruel. I can't. Me, you mean we're not friends anymore? Heather, smiling with her mouth but not her eyes. We were never really, really friends, were we? I mean, it's not like I ever slept over at your house or anything. We like to do different things. I have my modeling and I like to shop. Me, I like to shop. Heather, you don't like anything. You're the most depressed person I've ever met, and excuse me for saying this, but you are no fun to be around, and I think you need professional help. Up until this very instant, I had never seriously thought of Heather as my one true friend in the world, but now I am desperate to be her pal, her buddy, to giggle with her, to gossip with her. I want her to paint my toenails. Me, I was the only person who talked to you on the first day of school, and now you're blowing me off because I'm a little depressed? Isn't that what friends are for, to help each other out in bad times? Heather, I knew you would take this the wrong way. You are just so weird sometimes. I squint at the walls of hearts on the other side of the room. Lovers can spend $5 to get a red or pink heart with their initials on it mounted on the wall for Valentine's Day. It looks so out of place, those red splotches on blue. The jocks, the student athletes, sit in front of the hearts to judge the new romances. Poor Heather. There are no Hallmark cards for breaking up with friends. I know what she's thinking. She has a choice. She can hang out with me and get the reputation of being a creepy weirdo who might show up with a gun someday. Or she can be a Martha, one of the girls who gets good grades, does nice things, and skis well. Which would I choose? Heather, when you get through this life sucks phase, I'm sure lots of people will want to be your friend. But you just can't cut classes or not show up to school. What's next? Hanging out with the dopers? Me. Is this the part where you try to be nice to me? Heather, you have a reputation. Me. For what? Heather, look, you can't eat lunch with me anymore. I'm sorry. Oh, and don't eat those potato chips. They'll make you break out. She neatly wraps her trash in a wax paper ball and deposits it in the garbage can. Then she walks to the Martha table. Her friends scooch down to make room for her. They swallow her whole and she never looks back at me. Not once. I cut class, you cut class, he, she, it cuts class, we cut class, they cut class, we all cut class. I cannot say this in Spanish because I did not go to Spanish today. Gracias, adios, hasta luego. When we get off the bus on Valentine's Day, a girl with white blonde hair bursts into tears. I love you, Angela is spray painted into the snowbank along the parking lot. I don't know if Angela is crying because she is happy or because her heart's desire can't spell. Her honey is waiting with a red rose. They kiss right there in front of everybody. Happy Valentine's Day. It's caught me by surprise. Valentine's Day was a big hairy deal in elementary school because you had to give cards to everyone in your class, even the kid who made you step in dog poop. Then the class mom brought in pink frosted cupcakes, and we traded those little candy hearts that said, Hot Baby, and Be Mine. The holiday went underground in middle school. No parties, no shoeboxes with red cutout hearts for your drugstore Valentines. To tell someone you liked them, you had to use layers and layers of friends. As in, Janet told me to tell you that Stephen told me that Dougie said Cameron Carome was talking to April, and she hinted that Sarah's brother Mark has a friend named Tony who might like you. What are you going to do? It is easier to floss with barbed wire than admit you like someone in middle school. I go with the flow towards my locker. We are all dressed in down jackets and vests, so we collide and roll like bumper cars at the state fair. I notice envelopes taped to some lockers, but don't really think about it until I find one on mine. It says, Melinda. It has to be a joke. Someone put it there to make me look stupid. I peer over my left shoulder, then my right, for groups of evil kids pointing at me. All I see are the backs of heads. What if it's real? What if it's from a boy? My heart stops, then stutters and pumps again. No, not Andy. His style is definitely not romantic. Maybe David Petrakis, my lab partner? He watches me when he thinks I can't see him, afraid I'm going to break lab equipment or faint again. Sometimes he smiles at me, an anxious smile, the kind you use on a dog that might bite. All I have to do is open the envelope. I can't stand it. I walk past my locker and go straight to biology. Ms. Keene decided it would be cute to review birds and bees in honor of Valentine's Day. Nothing practical, of course. No information about why hormones can make you crazy or why your face only breaks out at the worst time. Or how to tell if somebody really gave you a Valentine's Day card on your locker. No, she really teaches us about the birds and the bees. Notes of love and betrayal are passed hand over hand as if the lab tables were lanes on Cupid's highway. Ms. Keene draws a picture of an egg with a baby chick inside it. David Petrakis is fighting to stay awake. Does he like me? I make him nervous. He thinks I'm going to ruin his grade. But maybe I'm growing on him. Do I want him to like me? I chew my thumbnail. No, I just want anyone to like me. I want a note with a heart on it. I pull the edge of my thumbnail back too far and it bleeds. I squeeze my thumb so the blood gathers into a perfect sphere before it collapses and slides toward the palm of my hand. David hands me a tissue. I press it into the cut. The white cells of paper dissolve as the red floods them. It doesn't hurt. Nothing hurts except the small smiles and blushes that flash across the room like tiny sparrows. I open my notebook and write a note to David. Thanks. I slide the notebook over to him. He swallows hard, his Adam's apple bouncing to the bottom of his neck and back up again. He writes back, You are welcome. Now what? I squeeze the tissue harder on my thumb to concentrate. Ms. Keene's baby bird hatches on the board. I draw a picture of Ms. Keene as a robin. David smiles. He draws a branch under her feet and slides the notebook back to me. I try to connect the branch to a tree. It looks pretty good, better than anything I have drawn so far in art. The bell rings and David's hand brushes against mine as he picks up his books. I bolt from the seat. I'm afraid to look at him. What if he thinks I already opened his card and I hate his guts, which is why I didn't say anything? But I can't say anything because the card could be a joke, or from some other silent watcher who blends in with the blur of lockers and doors. My locker. The card is still there, a white patch of hope with my name on it. I tear it off and open it. Something falls to my feet. The card is a picture of two cutesy teddy bears sharing a pot of honey. I open it. Thanks for understanding. You're the sweetest. It is signed with a purple pen. Good luck, Heather. I bend down to find what dropped out from the card. It was the friendship necklace I had given Heather in a fit of insanity around Christmas. Stupid, stupid, stupid. How stupid could I be? I hear a cracking inside me. My ribs are collapsing in on my lungs, which is why I can't breathe. I stumble down the hall, down another hall, till I find my very own door and slip inside and throw the lock, not even bothering to turn on the lights. Just falling a mile downhill to the bottom of my brown chair, where I can sink my teeth into the soft white skin of my wrist and cry like the baby I am. I rock, thumping my head against the cinder block wall. A half-forgotten holiday has unveiled every knife that sticks inside me, every cut. No Rachel, no Heather, not even a silly, geeky boy who would like the inside girl I think I am. I find Lady of Mercy Hospital by accident. I fall asleep on the bus and miss them all completely. The hospital is worth a try. Maybe I can learn some pre-med stuff for David. In a sick kind of way, I love it. There are waiting rooms on almost every floor. I don't want to attract too much attention to myself, so I stay on the move, checking my watch constantly, trying to look as if I have a reason for being here. I'm afraid I'll get caught, but the people around me have other things to worry about. The hospital is the perfect place to be invisible, and the cafeteria food is better than the schools. The worst waiting room is on the heart attack floor. It is crowded with gray-faced women twisting their wedding rings and watching the doors for a familiar doctor. One lady just sobs. She doesn't care that total strangers watch her nose drip, or that people can hear her as soon as they get off the elevator. Her cries stop just short of screaming. They make me shiver. I snag a couple of copies of People magazine and I am out of there. The maternity ward is dangerous because people there are happy. They ask me questions. Who am I waiting for? When is the baby due? Is it my mother? A sister? If I wanted people to ask me questions, I could have gone to school. I say I have to call my father and flee. The cafeteria is cool, huge, full of people wearing doctor and nurse clothes with college degree postures and beepers. I always thought hospital people would be real health nuts, but these guys eat junk food like it's going out of style. Big piles of nachos, cheeseburgers as wide as plates, cherry pie, potato chips, all the good stuff. One lone cafeteria worker named Lola stands by the steamed fish and onion tray. I feel bad for her, so I buy the fish platter. I also buy a plate of mashed potatoes and gravy and a yogurt. I find a seat next to a table of serious, frowning, silver-haired men who use words so long I'm surprised they don't choke. Very official. Nice to hang around people who sound like they know what they're doing. After lunch, I wander up to the 5th floor to an adult surgery wing where family members waiting concentrate on the television. I sit where I can watch the nurses' station, and beyond that, a couple of hospital rooms. It looks like a good place to get sick. The doctors and nurses seem smart, but they smile every once in a while. A laundry room worker pushes an enormous basket of green hospital gowns, the kind that shows your butt if you don't hold it closed, to its storage area. I follow him. If anyone asks, I'm looking for a water fountain. No one asks. I pick up a gown. I want to put it on and crawl under the white knobbly blanket and white sheets in one of those high-off-the-ground beds and sleep. It is getting harder to sleep at home. How long would it take for the nurses to figure out I don't belong here? Would they let me rest a couple days? A stretcher pushed by a tall guy with muscles sweeps down the hall. One woman walks beside it, a nurse. I have no idea what is wrong with the patient, but his eyes are closed, and a thin line of blood seeps through a bandage on his neck. I put the gown back. There is nothing wrong with me. These are really sick people. Sick that you can see. I head for the elevator. The bus is on its way. We have a meeting with Principal. Someone has noticed that I've been absent, and that I don't talk. They figure I'm more of a head case than a criminal, so they call in the guidance counselor, too. Mother's mouth twitches with words she doesn't want to say in front of strangers. Dad keeps checking his beeper, hoping someone will call. I sip water from a paper cup. If the cup were lead crystal, I would open my mouth and take a bite. Crunch, crunch, swallow, swallow. They want me to speak. Why won't you say anything? For the love of God, open your mouth. This is childish, Melinda. Say something. You are only hurting yourself by refusing to cooperate. I don't know why she's doing this to us. The principal hums loudly and gets in the middle. Principal, we all agree we are here to help. Let's start with these grades. They are not what we expected from you, Melissa. Dad, Melinda. Principal, Melinda. Last year you were a straight B student, no behavioral problems, few absences. But the reports I've been getting, well, what can we say? Mother, that's the point. She won't say anything. I can't get a word out of her. She's mute. Guidance counselor, I think we need to explore the family dynamics at play here. Mother, she's jerking us around to get attention. Me, inside my head. Would you listen? Would you believe me? Fat chance. Dad, well, something is wrong. What have you done to her? I had a sweet, loving little girl last year, but as soon as she comes here, she clams up, skips school, and flushes her grades down the toilet. I golf with the school board president, you know. Mother, we don't care who you know, Jack. We have to get Melinda to talk. Guidance counselor, leaning forward, looking at Mom and Dad. Do the two of you have marriage issues? Mother responds with unladylike language. Father suggests that the guidance counselor visit that hot, scary underground world. The guidance counselor grows quiet. Maybe she understands why I keep it zipped. Principal sits back in his chair and doodles a hornet. Tick, tick, tick. I'm missing study hall for this. Nap time. How many days until graduation? I lost track. Have to find a calendar. Mother and father apologize. They sing a show tune. What are we to do? What are we to do? She's so blue, we're just two. What, oh what are we supposed to do? In my head world, they jump on Principal's desk and perform a tap dance routine. A spotlight flashes on them. A chorus line joins in, and the guidance counselor dances around a spangled cane. I giggle. Zap, back in their world. Mother, you think this is funny? We are talking about your future, your life, Melinda. Father, I don't know where you picked up that flacker attitude, but you certainly didn't learn it at home. Probably from the bad influences up here. Guidance counselor. Actually, Melinda has some very nice friends. I've seen her helping that group of girls who volunteer so much. Meg Harcut, Emily Briggs, Siobhan Fallon. Principal, stops doodling. Very nice girls. They all come from good families. He looks at me for the first time and tilts his head to one side. Those are your friends? Do they choose to be so dense? Were they born that way? I have no friends. I have nothing. I say nothing. I am nothing. I wonder how long it takes to ride a bus to Arizona. Merriweather in-school suspension. This is my consequence. It is in my contract. It's true what they tell you about not signing anything without reading it carefully. Even better, pay a lawyer to read it carefully. The guidance counselor dreamed up the contract after our cozy get-together in the principal's office. It lists a million things I'm not supposed to do and the consequences I'll suffer if I do them. The consequences for minor offenses like being late to class or not participating were stupid. They wanted me to write an essay. So I took another day off school and bingo, I earned a trip to Miss. It's a classroom painted white with uncomfortable chairs and a lamp that buzzes like an angry hive. The inmates of Miss are commanded to sit and stare at the empty walls. It is supposed to bore us into submission or prepare us for an insane asylum. Our guard dog today is Mr. Neck. He curls his lip and growls at me. I think this is part of his punishment for that bigoted crap he pulled in class. There are 2 other convicts with me. One has a cross tattooed on his shaved skull. He sits like a granite boy waiting for a chisel so he can carve himself out of the mountainside. The other kids look completely normal. His clothes are a little freaky maybe, but that's a misdemeanor here, not a felony. When Mr. Neck gets up to greet a late arrival, the normal-looking kid tells me he likes to start fires. Our last companion, Andy Evans, my breakfast turns to hydrochloric acid. He grins at Mr. Neck and sits down next to me. Mr. Neck, cut in again, Andy? Andy Beast, no, sir. One of your colleagues thinks I have an authority problem. Can you believe it? Mr. Neck, no more talking. I am Bunny Rabbit again, hiding in the open. I sit like I have an egg in my mouth. One move, one word, and the egg will shatter and blow up the world. I am getting seriously weird in the head. When Mr. Neck isn't looking, Andy blows in my ear. I want to kill him. I can't do anything, not even in art class. Mr. Freeman, a pro at staring out the window himself, thinks he knows what's wrong. Your imagination is paralyzed, he declares. You need to take a trip. Ears perk up all over the classroom and someone turns down the radio. A trip? Is he planning a field trip? You need to visit the mind of a great one, continues Mr. Freeman. Papers flutter as the class sighs. The radio sings louder again. He pushes my pitiful linoleum block aside and gently sets down an enormous book. Picasso, he whispers like a priest. Picasso, who saw the truth, who painted the truth, molded it, ripped it from the earth with 2 angry hands. He pauses, but I'm carried away. I nod. See Picasso, he commands. I can't do everything for you. You must walk alone to find your soul. Blah, blah, blah. Looking at pictures would be better than watching snowdrift. I open the book. Picasso sure had a thing for naked women. Why not draw them with clothes on? Who sits around without a shirt on, plucking a mandolin? Why not draw naked guys just to be fair? Naked women is art, naked guys is a no-no, I bet. Probably because most painters are men. I don't like the first chapters. Besides all the naked women, he painted these blue pictures like he ran out of red and green for a few weeks. He painted circus people and some dancers who look like they are standing in smog. He should have made them cough. The next chapter steals my breath away. It takes me out of the room. It confuses me while one little part of my brain jumps up and down screaming, I get it, I get it. Cubism. Seeing beyond what is on the surface. Moving both eyes and a nose to the side of the face. Dicing bodies and tables and guitars as if they were celery sticks, and rearranging them so that you really have to look at them to see them. Amazing. What did the world look like to him? I wish he had gone to high school at Merriweather. I bet we could have hung out. I searched the whole book and never see one picture of a tree. Maybe Picasso couldn't do trees either. Why did I get stuck with such a lame idea? I sketch a cubist tree with hundreds of skinny rectangles for branches. They look like lockers, boxes, glass shards, lips with triangular brown leaves. I drop the sketch on Mr. Freeman's desk. Now you're getting somewhere, he says. He gives me a thumbs up. I am a good girl. I go to every single class for a week. It feels good to know what teachers are talking about again. My parents get the news flash from the guidance counselor. They aren't sure how to react. Happy because I'm behaving, or angrier still that they have to be happy about such a minor thing as a kid who goes to class every day. The guidance counselor convinces them I need a reward, a chew toy or something. They settle on new clothes. I'm outgrowing everything I own. But shopping with my mother? Just shoot me and put me out of my misery. Anything but a shopping trip with Mom. She hates shopping with me. At the mall, she stalks ahead, chin high, eyelids twitching because I won't try on the practical, stylish clothes that she likes. Mother is the rock, I am the ocean. I have to pout and roll my eyes for hours until she finally wears down and crumbles into 1,000 grains of beach sand. It takes a lot of energy. I don't think I have it in me. Apparently, Mom isn't into the drag and wine mall gig either. When they announce that I've earned new clothes, they add that I have to get them at efforts, so Mom can use her discount. I'm supposed to take the bus after school and meet her at the store. In a way, I'm glad. Get in, buy, get out, like ripping off a Band-Aid. It seems like a good idea until I'm standing at the bus stop in front of school, as a blizzard rips through the county. The wind chill must be 20 below, and I don't have a hat on or mittens. I try keeping my back to the wind, but my rear end freezes. Facing it is impossible. The snow blows up under my eyelids and fills my ears. That's why I don't hear the car pull up next to me. When the horn blows, I nearly jump out of my skin. It's Mr. Freeman. Need a ride? Mr. Freeman's car shocks me. It is a blue Volvo, a safe Swedish box. I had him figured for an old VW bus. It is clean. I had visions of art supplies, posters, and rotting fruit everywhere. When I get in, classical music plays quietly. Will wonders never cease? He says dropping me off in the city is only a little out of the way. He'd love to meet my mother. My eyes widen in fear. Maybe not, he says. I brush the melting snow from my head and hold my hands in front of the heating vent. He turns the fan up full blast. As I thaw, I count the mileage markers on the side of the road, keeping an eye out for interesting roadkill. We get a lot of dead deer in the suburbs. Sometimes poor people take the venison for their winter meat, but most of the time the carcasses rot until their skin hangs like ribbons over their bones. We head west to the big city. You did a good job with that cubist sketch, he says. I don't know what to say. We pass a dead dog. It doesn't have a collar. I'm seeing a lot of growth in your work. You are learning more than you know. Me. I don't know anything. My trees suck. Mr. Freeman puts on his turn signal, looks in the rearview mirror, pulls into the left lane, and passes a beer truck. Don't be so hard on yourself. Art is about making mistakes and learning from them. He pulls back into the right lane. I watch the beer truck fade into the snowstorm in the side mirror. Part of me thinks maybe he is driving a bit too fast, what with all that snow. But the car is heavy and doesn't slip. The snow that had caked on my socks melts into my sneakers. Me. All right, but you said we had to put our emotion into art. I don't know what that means. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. My fingers fly up and cover my mouth. What am I doing? Mr. Freeman, art without emotion is like chocolate cake without sugar. It makes you gag. He sticks his finger down his throat. The next time you work on your trees, don't think about trees. Think about love or hate or joy or rage. Whatever makes you feel something. Makes your palms sweat or your toes curl. Focus on that feeling. When people don't express themselves, they die one piece at a time. You'd be shocked at how many adults are really dead inside, walking through their days with no idea who they are, just waiting for a heart attack or cancer or a Mack truck to come along and finish the job. It's the saddest thing I know. He pulls off the exit and stops at the light at the bottom of the ramp. Something small and furry and dead is crumpled by the storm sewer. I chew off a scab on my thumb. The effort sign blinks in the middle of the block. Over there, I say, you can drop me off in front. We sit for a moment, the snow hiding the other side of the street, a cello solo thrumming from the speakers. Thanks, I say. Don't mention it, he answers. If you ever need to talk, you know where to find me. I unbuckle the seatbelt and open the door. Melinda, Mr. Freeman says. Snow filters into the car and melts on the dashboard. You're a good kid. I think you have a lot to say. I'd like to hear it. I close the door. I stop by the manager's office and the secretary says my mother is on the phone. Just as well. It will be easier to find a pair of jeans without her around. I head for the young ladies section of the store. Another reason they don't make any money. Who wants to be called a young lady? I need a size 10 as much as it kills me to admit that. Everything I own is an 8 or a small. I look at my canoe feet and my wet, obnoxious ankle bones. Aren't girls supposed to stop growing at this age? When I was in 6th grade, my mom bought me all these books about puberty and adolescence so I would appreciate what a beautiful and natural and miraculous transformation I was going through. Crap, that's what it is. She complains all the time about her hair turning gray and her butt sagging and her skin wrinkling. But I'm supposed to be grateful for a face full of zits, hair in embarrassing places, and feet that grow an inch a night. Utter crap. No matter what I try on, I know I'll hate it. Efforts has cornered the market on completely unfashionable clothes. Clothes that grandmas buy for your birthday. It's a fashion graveyard. Just get a pair that fits, I tell myself. One pair, that's the goal. I look around. No mom. I carry three pairs of the least offensive jeans into the dressing room. I am the only person trying anything on. The first pair is way too small. I can't even get them over my butt. I don't bother with the second pair, they are a smaller size. The third pair is huge, exactly what I'm looking for. I scurry out to the three-way mirror. With an extra large sweatshirt over the top, you can hardly tell they are efforts jeans. Still no mom. I adjust the mirror so I can see reflections of reflections, miles and miles of me and my new jeans. I hook my hair behind my ears. I should have washed it. My face is dirty. I lean into the mirror. Eyes after eyes after eyes stare back at me. Am I in there somewhere? 1,000 eyes blink. No makeup, dark circles. I pull the side flaps of the mirror in closer, folding myself into the looking glass and blocking out the rest of the store. My face becomes a Picasso sketch, my body slicing into dissecting cubes. I saw a movie once where a woman was burned over 80% of her body, and they had to wash all the dead skin off. They wrapped her in bandages, kept her drugged, and waited for skin grafts. They actually sewed her to new skin. I push my ragged mouth against the mirror, 1,000 bleeding, crusted lips pushed back. What does it feel like to walk in a new skin? Was she completely sensitive like a baby, or numb, without nerve endings, just walking in a skin bag? I exhale and my mouth disappears in a fog. I feel like my skin has been burned off. I stumble from thornbush to thornbush, my mother and father who hate each other, Rachel who hates me, a school that gags on me like I'm a hairball, and Heather. I just need to hang on long enough for my new skin to graft. Mr. Freeman thinks I need to find my feelings. How can I not find them? They are chewing me alive like an infestation of thoughts, shame, mistakes. I squeeze my eyes shut. Jeans that fit, that's a good start. I have to stay away from the closet, go to all my classes. I will make myself normal. Forget the rest of it. We've finished the plant unit in biology. Ms. Keene drops 10-pound hints that the test will focus on seeds. I study. How seeds get planted. This is actually cool. Some plants spit their seeds into the wind. Others make seeds yummy enough for birds to eat, so they get pooped out on passing cars. Plants make way more seeds than they need because they know that life is not perfect, and all the seeds won't make it. Kind of smart when you think about it. People used to do that too. Have 12 or 15 kids because they figured some would die, some would turn out rotten, and a couple would be hard-working, honest farmers. Who knew how to plant seeds? What seeds need to germinate? Seeds are inefficient. If the seed is planted too deep, it doesn't warm up at the right time. Plant it too close to the surface and a crow eats it. Too much rain and the seed molds. Not enough rain and it never gets started. Even if it does manage to sprout, it can be choked on by weeds, rooted up by a dog, mashed by a soccer ball, or asphyxiated by car exhaust. It's amazing anything survives. How plants grow. Quickly. Most plants grow fast and die young. People get 70 years. A bean plant gets 4 months, maybe 5. Once the itty-bitty baby plant peeks out of the ground, it sprouts leaves, so it can absorb more sun. Then it sleeps, eats, and sunbathes until it's ready to flower. A teenage plant. This is a bad time to be a rose or a zinnia or a marigold, because people attack them with scissors and cut off what's pretty. But plants are cool. If the rose is picked, the plant grows another one. It needs to bloom to produce more seeds. I am going to ace this test. My cafeteria strategy has changed since I have no friends in the known universe. First off, I don't go through the line for anything, to avoid that vulnerable moment of coming out into the lunchroom. That moment where every head lifts and evaluates, friend, enemy, or loser. So I brown bag it. I had to write a note to my mother asking her to buy lunch bags, bologna, and little containers of applesauce. The note makes her happy. She came home from the store with all kinds of junk food I could take. Maybe I should start talking to them. Maybe a little bit. But what if I say the wrong thing? Bologna girl, that's me. I try to read while eating alone, but the noise gets between my eyes and the page and I can't see through it. I observe. I pretend I'm a scientist, on the outside looking in, the way Mrs. Keene describes her days watching rats get lost in mazes. The Marthas don't look lost. They sit in formation, a new girl in my old seat, a sophomore who just moved here from Oregon. Her clothes have a dangerously high percentage of polyester. She needs to get that taken care of. They nibble carrot sticks and olives, spread pate onto stone-ground wheat crackers, and trade bits of goat cheese. Meg and Emily and Heather drink cranberry apricot juice. Too bad I can't buy stock in the juice company. I am watching a trend in the making. Are they talking about me? They're certainly laughing enough. I chop my sandwich and it barfs mustard on my shirt. Maybe they're planning the next project. They could mail snowballs to the weather-deprived children in Texas. They could knit goat hair blankets for shorn sheep. I imagine what Heather might look like in 10 years. After 2 children and 70 pounds, it helps a little. Rachel Rochelle takes a seat at the end of my table with Hannah, the exchange student from Egypt. Rachel Rochelle is now experimenting with Islam. She wears a scarf on her head and some brown and red gauzy harem pants. Her eyes are ringed with black eyeliner, thick as crayon. I think I see her looking at me, but I'm probably wrong. Hannah wears jeans and a Gap t-shirt. They eat hummus and pita and titter in French. There's a sprinkling of losers like me scattered among the happy teenagers, prunes in the oatmeal of school. The others have the social power to sit with other losers. I'm the only one sitting alone, under the glowing neon sign which reads, Complete and Total Loser, Not Quite Sane. Stay away. Do not feed. I go to the restroom to turn my shirt around so the mustard stain is hidden under my hair. We had 8 inches of snow last night. In any other part of the country, that would mean a snow day. Not in Syracuse. We never get snow days. It snows an inch in South Carolina. Everything shuts down and they get on the 6 o'clock news. In our district, they plow early and often and put chains on the bus tires. Hairwoman tells us they canceled school for a whole week back in the 70s because of the energy crisis. It was wicked cold and would have cost too much to heat the school. She looks wistful. Wistful. 1-point vocab word. She blows her nose loudly and pops another smelly green cough drop. The wind blasts a snowdrift against the window. Our teachers ate a snow day. They look unusually pale. The men aren't shaving carefully and the women never remove their boots. They suffer some sort of teacher flu. Their noses drip, their throats gum up, their eyes are rimmed with red. They come to school long enough to infect the staff room, then they go home sick when the sub shows up. Hairwoman, open your books now. Who can tell me what snow symbolized to Hawthorne? Class, groan. Hawthorne wanted snow to symbolize cold. That's what I think. Cold and silence. Nothing quieter than snow. The sky screams to deliver it. 100 banshees flying on the edge of the blizzard. But once the snow covers the ground, it hushes, as still as my heart. I sneak into my closet after school because I can't face the idea of riding home on a bus full of sweaty, smiling teeth sucking up my oxygen. I say hello to my poster of Maya and my cubist tree. My turkey bone sculpture has fallen down again. I prop it up on the shelf next to the mirror. It slides back down and lies flat. I leave it there and curl up in my chair. The closet is warm and I'm ready for a nap. I've been having trouble sleeping at home. I wake up because the covers are on the floor or because I'm standing at the kitchen door trying to get out. It feels safer in my little hideaway. I doze off. I wake to the sounds of girls screaming, Be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive. For a minute there, I think that I've tripped into the land of the truly insane, but then a crowd roars. It is a basketball game, last game of the season. I check my watch, 8:45. I've been asleep for hours. I grab my backpack and fly down the hall. The noise of the gym pulls me in. I stand by the door for the last minute of the game. The crowd chants down the last seconds like it's New Year's Eve, then explode from the stands like angry hornets at the sound of the buzzer. We won, beating the Coatesville Cougars 51-50. The cheerleaders weep. The coaches embrace. I get caught up in the excitement and clap like a little girl. This is my mistake, thinking I belong. I should have bolted for home immediately. But I don't. I hang around. I want to be a part of it all. David Petrakis pushes through the doors in the middle of a group of friends. He sees me looking at him and detaches himself from his pod. David, Melinda, where were you sitting? Did you see that last shot? Unbelievable. Unbe-freaking-leavable. He dribbles an imaginary ball on the ground, fakes left, right, then pulls up for a shot. David should stick to human rights abuses. He goes on and on, a loose ball racing downhill. To hear him talk, you'd think they just won the NBA championship. Then he invites me back to his house for celebratory pizza. David, come on, Mel, you gotta come with us. My dad told me to bring anyone I wanted. We can give you a ride home after if you want. It'll be fun. You do remember fun, don't you? Nope, I don't do parties. No, thanks. I trot out excuses. Homework, strict parents, tuba practice, late-night dentist appointment, have to feed the warthogs. I don't have a good track record with parties. David doesn't bother to analyze my reluctance. If he were a girl, maybe he would have pleaded or whined more. Guys don't do that. Yes, no, stay, go, suit yourself. See you Monday. I think it's kind of some psychiatric disorder when you have more than one personality in your head. That's what it feels like when I walk home. The two Melindas fight every step of the way. Melinda 1 is pissed that she couldn't go to the party. Melinda 1, get a life. It was just pizza. He wasn't going to try anything. His parents were going to be there. You worry too much. You're never going to let us have any fun, are you? You're going to turn into one of those weird old ladies who has 100 cats and calls the cops when kids cut across her backyard. I can't stand you. Melinda 2 waits for 1 to finish her tantrum. 2 carefully watches the bushes along the sidewalk for a lurking boogeyman, or worse. Melinda 2, the world is a dangerous place. You don't know what could have happened. What if he was just saying his parents were going to be there? He could have been lying. You can never tell when people are lying. Assume the worst. Plan for disaster. Now hurry up and get us home. I don't like it out here. It's too dark. If I kick both of them out of my head, who would be left? I can't sleep after the game. Again. I spend a couple hours tuning AM radio to the weird bounces of night. I listen to Jabber Jabber from Quebec, a farm report from Minnesota, and a country station in Nashville. I crawl out my window onto the porch roof and wrap myself in my blankets. A fat, white seed sleeps in the sky. Slush is frozen over. People say that winter lasts forever, but it's because they obsess over the thermometer. North in the mountains, the maple syrup is trickling. Brave geese punch through the thin ice left on the lake. Underground pale seeds roll over in their sleep, starting to get restless, starting to dream green. The moon looked closer back in August. Rachel got us to the end of the summer party, a cheerleader party, with beer and seniors and music. She blackmailed her brother, Jimmy, to drive us. We were all sleeping over at Rachel's house. Her mother thought Jimmy was taking us roller skating. It was at a farm a couple of miles from our development. The kegs were in the barn where the speakers were set up. Most people hung at the edge of the lights. They looked like models in a blue jeans ad. Thin, 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 big lips, big earrings, white smiles. I felt like such a little kid. Rachel found a way to fit in, of course. She knew a lot of people because of Jimmy. I tasted a beer. It was worse than cough medicine. I gulped it down. Another beer, and one more. Then I worried I would throw up. I walked out of the crowd towards the woods. The moon shone on the leaves. I could see the lights, like stars strewn in the pines. Somebody giggled. Hidden beyond the dark, quiet boy-girl whispers. I couldn't see them. A step behind me. A senior. And then he was talking to me, flirting with me. This gorgeous cover model guy. His hair was way better than mine. His every inch a tanned muscle, and he had straight white teeth. Flirting with me. Where was Rachel? She had to see this. Greek god, where did you come from? You're too beautiful to hide in the dark. Come dance with me. He took my hand and pulled me close to him. I breathed in cologne and beer and something I couldn't identify. I fit in against his body perfectly, my head level with his shoulder. I was a little dizzy. I laid my cheek on his chest. He wrapped one arm around my back. His other hand slid down to my butt. I thought that was a little rude, but my tongue was thick with beer, and I couldn't figure out how to tell him to slow down. The music was sweet. This was what high school was supposed to feel like. Where was Rachel? She had to see this. He tilted my face up to his. He kissed me. Man kiss. Hard, sweet, and deep. Nearly knocked me off my feet, that kiss. And I thought for just a minute there that I had a boyfriend. I would start high school with a boyfriend. Older and stronger and ready to watch out for me. He kissed me again. His teeth ground hard against my lips. It was hard to breathe. A cloud cloaked the moon. Shadows looked like photo negatives. Do you want to? He asked. What did he say? I didn't answer. I didn't know. I didn't speak. We were on the ground. When did this happen? No, I do not like this. I was on the ground and he was on top of me. My lips mumble something about leaving, about a friend who needs me, about my parents worrying. I can hear myself. I'm mumbling like a deranged drunk. His lips lock on mine and I can't say anything. I twist my head away. He is so heavy. There is a boulder on me. I open my mouth to breathe, to scream, and his hand covers it. In my head, my voice is as clear as a bell. No, I don't want to, but I can't spit it out. I'm trying to remember how we got on the ground and where the moon went, and wham! Shirt up, shorts down, and the ground smells wet and dark, and no, I'm not really here. I'm definitely back at Rachel's, crimping my hair and gluing on fake nails, and he smells like beer and mean, and he hurts me, and gets up, and zips his jeans, and smiles. The next thing I saw was the telephone. I stood in the middle of a drunken crowd, and I called 911 because I needed help. All those visits from Officer Friendly in second grade paid off. A lady answered the phone. Police, state your emergency. And I saw my face in the window over the kitchen sink, and no words came out of my mouth. Who was that girl? I had never seen her before. Tears oozed down my face over my bruised lips, pooling on the handset. It's okay, said the nice lady on the phone. We have your location. Officers are on the way. Are you hurt? Are you being threatened? Someone grabbed the phone from my hands and listened. A scream. The cops were coming. Blue and cherry lights flashing in the kitchen sink window. Rachel's face, so angry, and mine. Someone slapped me. I crawled out of the room through a forest of legs. Outside, the moon smiled goodbye and slipped away. I walked home to an empty house, without a word. It isn't August. The moon is asleep, and I'm sitting on my porch roof like a frozen gargoyle, wondering if the sun is going to blow off the world today and sleep in. There is blood on the snow. I bit my lip clear through. It needs stitches. Mom will be late again. I hate winter. I've lived in Syracuse my whole life, and I hate winter. It starts too early and ends too late. No one likes it. Why does anyone stay here? Social life, F. Lunch, D. Clothes, F. Social studies, F. Biology, D+. English, D+. Spanish, D. Algebra, F. Gym, D. Art, A. Quite an intense ending. Well, we have one more quarter here, about 50 more pages. I'm very excited to see what happens next. Bye, team.